anyhow, I was gonna say, let's find a spot.
I think that's actually a good segue into the Young Bucks.
It might be, maybe.
Right now, again, let's take Cutler, Nakazawa, Hat Buck, Christopher Daniel out of this. Mostly because they're not the major players in this, and we know where Cutler and Nakazawa were, like what side they were on, but we don't know exactly like their level of involvement. We don't know about Daniels and Pat Buck, but we know about the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And the one thing I'll say about Kenny Omega is that, okay, obviously he was going out there, good, bad, or indifferent. He felt like he was going out there to air the grievances, Festivus style.
Airing of the grievances
with CM Punk. And the only thing, and again, good, bad, or indifferent about that. The one thing I will say about Kenny Omega is that out of this whole thing, he has gone radio silence.
That dude ghosted.
And just ghosted the whole situation, which I think is, and we've said it before, it was the right call. It was 100%. Just stay out of it. You're only going to make anything you say right now is only going to make things worse.
Only worse.
Just
only worse.
Take your punishment like a man, and just, There's the only thing I will say about Kenny Omega was that there was some talk that he had potentially come back from his injuries a little too early. Sure. And so maybe this may not have been totally the worst thing for him. We really got to see what the absolute judgment on this is going to be. I don't think this is done. But overall, in terms of the timing of it and him sitting, may not have been the worst thing for him health-wise and physically. So, okay.
Yeah.
That's Kenny Omega. I don't really have much else to say about it because there's not much else to say. Because, again, he's doing the right thing. There's not much else to say about Kenny Omega.
He was there. He completely seems like the one in this. He was there. He's with his boys. He also is going in and a fight. One of his boys threw something. And he was like, wait, what? No, guys, stop. What? Oh, somebody bit me. What? He was in the middle. I don't think he was an instigator by any stretch of the imagination. He was just wrong place, wrong time type of deal.
It's possible. I'm 50. I'm on the fence on that. We may find out different if we ever do find out at all. But I think that's a fair take. Yeah, I think that's a fair take from what we have heard right now. And
sure.
From what we
in there, obviously, sure.
What we can say about one Mr. Matt and Mr. Nick Jackson. Now,
these goofballs. Anyhow,
this is an interesting scenario because there's a good piece of history here. For a lot of folks who've been watching AEW, I think for fans like deep-rooted fans of AEW, a good number of folks have watched the Being the Elite YouTube channel that's been going on for a long time. Started as a travel blog for the Young Bucks, and then very, very quickly incorporated Kenny Omega into it, and then through their travels through Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, starting to incorporate folks like Adam Cole, Hangman Adam Page, Marty Scurll, yes, Bebe, Bebe, gotta do the fingers, Marty Scurll, Cody Rhodes, and others. And a big piece of this started kind of rolling through around contracts ending right at the tail end of the year prior to them actually starting All Elite Wrestling And so they had a huge thing wherein it was Cody, Hangman, the Bucks, and Omega. All like for a long time, there was this whole thing. There was this countdown going off on their phones, just randomly. They would have random skits going on, and then they would get a text, and it would be like a countdown, and it was counting down to the end of the year. And their episode right near the end of the year comes in. They all meet together. They all have their phones, and they're all looking at it. And then when it all goes to zero, shows an image of All Elite Wrestling. So all the different players, their contracts were ending. New Japan, Ring of Honor, everything else. And so there was this whole like kind of like what we can say, what we can't say, and all this stuff. And then they have the big announcement event, and they start this whole thing. So
which really cool. Like
when that happened.
Yeah.
Because again, you got to understand, before that, especially for like any kind of major television airplay for wrestling in the States, you were watching WWE, and it was really their developmental NXT.
That was the other thing.
That was really kind of keeping WWE afloat in a lot of fans' eyes.
Yeah.
But we really, other than NXT, we didn't really have anything else, and people have been just starved for some kind of legitimate contender and something different than what WWE was putting forth.
Yeah.
And then here comes this upstart AEW, bringing it back to the Young Bucks. This really kind of came into play with the quote-unquote elite, which kind of comes in with the All Elite Wrestling of that crew of Bucks, Kenny, Hangman Adam Page, and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
They were
upstarts.
Yeah.
They were against they were the NWO is the wrong term. They were the
in a way, they
were the cool shiny new toy. They were different. They were the Attitude Era showing up for WWF at the time.
Sure.
They were that.
And I think
this is 2019.
I think somewhere around. I think it was early part of 2019 is when they got started. It was 18 at the earliest.
I thought 2019,
but I think 19 is correct, because they barely got going before COVID hit.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, January 1st, 2019.
There we go. Yep,
they are.
So, and I think that makes sense, because it was 2018 was the whole time on the YouTube show where they started, especially that fall until they were the storylines were just starting to just kind of draw to something big was happening.
Right.
So you got to think about I think for folks who may not have seen the YouTube show, and especially if they have not seen it through like at least as old as say 2018 and kind of working through it, they probably don't quite catch the gravity of the Hangman Adam Page connection to all this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So in that way, I don't 100% fault the Bucks, especially as
I think you and I
quote unquote boys in the back confronting CM Punk. And again, it's just because of that history. Seeing like Hangman was like is very clearly one of the crew. And again, remember I said boys in the back.
Yeah.
Where I take pause with this whole situation is you're not just one of the boys in the back.
Right.
You're executive vice presidents. And but this is a situation where you can't take the hats off. You could say you're putting the boy in the back hat on.
Yeah, you definitely cannot. This is an absolute. You
still have that.
Hat is permanently on your head.
You still have that hat. And this is a situation where it becomes.
You can say off the record all you want. It's still on the record.
It still becomes. It makes it much more untenable to justify and kind of take it as okay, let's all come together and talk about this. Now, I'm sure that's going to be a big part of the situation, but at the end of the day, this is where they had to be suspended. They had to be suspended because they could not have EVPs going into someone's locker room and getting into an altercation like that.
You can't even have the illusion of that. So even if this didn't happen,
with talent,
let's say this didn't happen. Let's say CM Punk went and grabbed he was waiting at the door, saw him walk by and grabbed him and pulled him in his locker room and started fighting with him. You still can't have that. You know what I mean? Like you
that doesn't. That's definitely something that's not good.
No,
but again, that's a situation. If that was a situation, let's say he took Matt because he has the most punchable face. Let's say CM Punk grabbed Matt Jackson and actually assaulted him. Then you know what? That's where it's kind of like, all right, what from my let me
point, right? That's what it would have to be for any of this to be. Yeah. Like
actually tenable from the Young Bucks perspective, looking at it from Tony Khan's perspective at the Young Bucks. It would have to be that. Them even going into his room like that night.
No,
because what they should have done is what they should have done as EVPs would have been.
We talked about this in the last stream for sure. Absolutely.
Sit down with CM Punk, Tony Khan, his
legal team,
and for folks who don't know, people probably heard about this, and I need to look up the lady's name. I'm not even going to try and say it off the cuff without having it directly. I know it, but it's just I can't. It's off the tip. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't pull it up.
Yeah. No.
From a business perspective, Tony Khan's second in command is a woman who is also, my understanding, kind of a head legal counsel for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I would have pulled Mega in, obviously. Tony Schiavone has been recently kind of
the wrestling
tapped
side
as the right-hand person as far as like the wrestling side of things go.
And the reason behind that was due to his involvement with a, let's say, testy locker room in the 90s.
You know what?
At the time.
Schiavone's been there and done that. Schiavone's got history back in the NWA days.
He's around forever and ever.
Territories, various different territories. He's been around the block. Another Virginia boy, also.
I actually think a lot from an outside perspective. I always kind of thought a lot of him.
Yeah,
especially because it's hard to rise through the ranks, get to the pinnacle top of your profession, to then be kicked down. And there's various stories as to just how far down. There's stories.
I always thought that one of the smartest moves that AEW ever did was putting Tony Schiavone on the announcement / interview team, kind of representing that aspect.
Because he was the one in the ring, and that's I don't know if we were before stream or during the stream, as far as us talking about Hangman in the ring with CM Punk when he said stuff that was off script.
Yes.
As far as we're protecting AEW from you.
Oh, Hangman. Yeah, when Hangman Page said, yeah.
Well, Tony was the guy in the ring. He was the one in the ring.
Yeah.
And if you watch his face when it got said, and I understand, again, they're paid liars, right? Like wrestlers, everybody in the ring is lying to you. But sometimes you see
Until
that
they're not.
Except when they're
well,
not.
Tony's just like
truthful real fast.
Yeah.
And
Tony
his
reacts
got
to
real
something
truthful real fast. As soon as he said it, you see Schiavone cringe.
Yeah.
And get off camera.
Yep. He's like, I'm out.
He's making, to be fair, the whole time he was talking, if you watch Schiavone, at first almost trying to get in the eyesight of Paige, as in, when your boy is kind of popping off or, is going off about something, and you just need to get in his, like, just catch his eye.
This is periphery,
Yeah, just, hey, man, drinks are over here and the pretty women are over that way.
20
Why don't we maybe see them? Just, there's so much stuff over here. We should go.
I mean, look, straight up facts. Ian has done that to me.
I was saying, I did have a little flashback.
Directly.
I may have been that person that was doing these types of things. But no, you could tell if you watch.
Yep.
It's the stuff that you're not supposed to be watching. That's where you can find out what's really happening. You watch him doing this the whole time, and he kind of gets in the periphery of Adam Page, and Page steps forward and says that, and you watch Schiavone go.
Yeah, he just completely
he was just out. He just turns and he is. We're done here. I've
done all I can do in this situation.
I cannot bring this back. This is where this is at now.
Putting a little bit more respect on Tony Schiavone's name. And you may not even know about this directly, because this was kind of even pre when you really got into Sting. But just like JR was kind of the voice of Stone Cold. Tony Schiavone was the voice in WCW. This is Sting. It was
a reason that they made that such a thing when Sting came back too.
Yeah.
How many times have you said it's Sting and been the hype man? Even Sting, you can watch, we were talking about the boys in the back, and where people really respect people, and they don't have to be a wrestler. They just respect the person, because at the end of the day, that's what each of them are. They're just people. Yeah. Bigger than life, larger than life people sometimes, but they're just people. They're all trying to get a job done, and they know each person in that chain, whether it's the guy bringing them water or the guy that's, announcing, or the guy that's fighting across the ring, what pivotal role they play. You could tell Sting was genuinely no. Steve Borden was genuinely happy for Tony Schiavone.
Yep.
When, he came out like a week or two after he had debuted, and he was like, Tony, where are you at? Here, Tony. Basically announce that I'm here, and he doesn't. He's, Sting's like pumped up about it and stuff. You can tell.
Let's put this into perspective. There's only one relationship in AEW older than the Schiavone and Sting relationship. You know what that is?
Is one of the Four Horsemen involved?
The Tony Schiavone and Arn Anderson / Tully relationship.
That's okay. I wasn't sure if they were still around.
Nope.
That was the part.
No. It's that Schiavone's been in this business for so long. And
what you're saying is Schiavone would not have been in the back trying to throw punches.
No.
Because CM Punk said something mean to him.
Well, no.
About him.
No. Schiavone would have been one, if that whole altercation didn't go down, Schiavone would have been one of the first people on Damage Control.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. The very fact that
if
Khan
they were all
named
just
him
wrestlers, if they were, and I say that not in a disrespectful way, if they were simply employees, if all of them, if this had happened, and again, this is where I say the Young Bucks are just in over their head. They are children trying to play grown men's games.
Yes.
And that is what I see them as.
I agree.
I don't know if you're in the same.
No, I think that I do not think that, I don't think they should have had any kind of official EVP title. I think they should have been honorary.
Some screen stuff.
Yes,
sure.
I think it should have been honorary.
Absolutely.
And nothing else.
On screen.
More, yes.
You want to be a general manager-esque authority figure.
It's not to say you can't have them have a.
Wrestling,
they're not a publicly.
You're supposed to suspend disbelief.
They're not a publicly traded company. They don't have to disclose that.
You don't know.
They
and
don't have to.
Need. That's all you need. You just need
that
maybe
hint of doubt.
Just maybe.
And I don't know. Maybe help it actually be wrestling again, because you have sort of things like that where it's kind of I heard they weren't actually da 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 da. But that's again, beautiful. Exactly. In wrestling, that's beautiful. Great.
All I need is the
hint of doubt. Either that hint of doubt or that spark of truth. It's those two things, and how you dance them around each other.
Yes.
Is ultimately at the core of how you truly manage kayfabe in the wrestling business. And if you can control how those electrons go around that nucleus and keep it together, good shit's gonna happen. And have a good product in the ring.
I will say my degrees of annoyance. Man, annoyance may not be the right term.
I got grievances with these people.
Yeah, I got grievances. Tons of grievances here. The people that I have the most problem with, CM Punk was acting like a total prick.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's not a better way to say that. He was.
It was.
Douchebaggy, whatever version you want to say that. Yes. Let's say all the things that he has said was his being a drama queen. That's just, all the bad stuff. No matter what he said, no matter what he did, there's no excuse for the Bucks.
They committed the same crime. They put their own egos, sure,
way,
but ultimately,
the company, the business, the everything.
It's
not just as wrestlers. Okay, if they were just wrestlers and they went back, well, it wouldn't be the first time, right? We said this. I can't remember if it was on screen or off screen, but.
Talk to Jericho about that.
Yeah, employees fight. Big deal. Okay.
But especially in wrestling, especially in sports, especially
absolutely.
It's just
emotional. It's physical. It's all of that. Sure.
Yeah. And it is something that happens, and this is why wrestlers' court got developed within the WWE system. That got started by the boys. That got started, and I say boys, but it includes the gals too. But we kind of collectively use the word boys in the back.
Sure,
but it's
because it was boys in the back
originally. Sure. You had that system where you had some kind of major grievance with someone. You kind of talked it out through wrestlers' court. And more often than not, it was Taker who was the judge, and he pretty much made the call. He's like, look, you're wrong. You need to do this. You folks need to shake it off, shake on it, hug it out, do whatever you got to do. And the reason,
each other one time. You know what?
Yeah.
Go fight each other. Fine.
Just get it back. Get it out.
You two, get it out.
And the reason why it's important, even more so, say in like the WWE, like say like an NFL or the NBA, where they have like legitimate rules that help protect players.
Sure.
Fair enough. But in wrestling, where the rules are part of the kayfabe, the only rule you have is that you don't go into business for yourself in the ring. Whatever's going on, you you two are responsible for each other's lives in there. Yeah,
True.
and
But,
so
yeah, back to the Bucks.
Back to the Bucks.
They are absolutely the pinnacle of all the things that you should not do.
Yeah,
happening.
Especially if you're going to have any kind of legitimate leadership role within an organization.
You're putting yourself ahead of the business.
Yes.
And I don't care what business that is. The moment one person,
this is where, especially where, and I've argued that a wrestling business should never go public. But ultimately that's because there's rules. You have what they call fiduciary duty. There's things in place where you talk about, like, no, you can't necessarily be using the company to just serve your ego.
Yes.
And again, from the Bucks' perspective, if they really want to be true to form executive vice presidents in a company, they need to truly behave differently. Now, what's interesting about this is that the one guy who I felt truly represented that role left.
Cody?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I thought the same thing.
And there was apparently
at the time he was doing it, he was the pariah. It was him. All the fingers kind of pointed at, well, he's not really the team player that we all need around here. It was this, he's just about the money. There were fingers being pointed. Well,
sure.
Not necessarily on screen, but there were a lot of fingers getting pointed. You knew where Cody kind of stood. We even may have had a stream talking about that.
I think we did.
It seems familiar.
I think that Cody saw
the writing on the wall.
Yeah. Around the way the Bucks and Omega. Also because
he knew this wasn't a long term. What I see them as, and when we talked about this on one other stream, and I apologize, I keep cutting you off. Sorry, man.
Oh, go ahead.
But what I see the Bucks as, group of friends that maybe let's say you all started Facebook together, or you all started some company together.
Sure.
And the company went from, hey, me and you on stream, and a couple of my friends and things like that, we're all buddies, we hang out, we have drinks, to a multi, Fortune 500 company in a matter of years. Millions, if not billions of dollars are now at stake. Well, you're playing in a different league now. Now, you know what? It may be time to cut some of my friends. We could be the greatest friends. We could have a little falling out, but it may be time. I can't drag you along. You don't promote someone beyond their ability.
Yeah.
And you if they're your boy, where they probably shouldn't be, especially if you're the one at the higher. There's people at different tiers. Yep. So you're if you're the one that's up on this part of it and you're pulling your buddy up with you, great, wonderful. It's what you're supposed to bring people up with you. Great. But if you bring them up and they've hit their ceiling, you don't want to jump them over levels that would have given them some growth and experience that they needed to be at those other levels. You don't promote somebody to the CEO of a company if they've only worked in the mailroom.
Or an EVP, if you've been a spot EVP. Monkey
just
tag team in Ring of Honor, and
you went from that to in charge of not just your career, but every person in the locker room. Some are your friends, some are not, some are from other companies, some are not. There's a lot of that whole little buddy click thing that you got going.
And
no one particularly cares
the
about
thing
anymore. You're not new and interesting.
And then Tony Khan's involvement, and then kind of speak to Tony Khan, because there's a lot to talk about Tony Khan. That
I thought I
goes
was hard on the
deep.
Young Bucks. Dude.
Yeah, this goes deep. So
Yeah,
everyone hang tight.
Yep.
We'll be right back.